Hey, welcome to UK Wildcrafts. So in this video I'll show you how to make poached pears with damson and red wine sauce. A nice, fairly easy dessert to make, which especially goes well at Christmas parties. So you want to peel the pears, but leave them whole and leave the stalk intact. And you want to use pears that are ripe but not overripe. You don't want them to be soft. Then you want to place them in a saucepan and cover them with water, probably about 1 litre to 1.5 litres. Add in your caster sugar, about 200 grams. And add some spices. I'm using bay leaves, star anise, and some clove. You can also use any spices you like, really. And then put it on the heat. Just gently bring it to the boil. So once you've reached a boil, you can turn the heat back down and let it simmer. And you can put the lid on, and you want to poach them for generally about an hour. But what you don't want the pears to sit up above the liquid because they'll get discoloured. So what you want to do is make a cartouche. To do that, get a length of baking parchment, fold it in half, fold it in half again, and keep folding it. So this is the middle of the parchment, and what you do is measure from the centre of the saucepan to the edge and just get a rough estimate. That's where you want to cut it. And then when you open it up, you should get a circle of parchment. And you just place that on top, and that'll stop the pears from sitting on the surface. Then you put your lid on and leave that for roughly an hour. So that's been about an hour now. So you can just give them a check. I'm just using a paring knife or a cocktail stick. Just stab the pear, and if it goes down to the core quite easily, then it's cooked, just as long as it's nice and soft. So then you can just take the pears out of the liquid and allow them to cool. So the liquor that the pears were poached in, you want to keep that because you're going to use that for making the damson and red wine sauce. Once the pears have cooled down a little bit, you can get your paring knife and just take out the cores. Just about that. You can then store these in the fridge and they should last for 2 or 3 days. To make the sauce, you get the poaching liquor, turn that back up onto a high heat. Then you get your damsons. I've just got a few 100 grams here. I don't really like to use exact measurements. Just give them a bit of a crush up with your hand to release all of the flavours and the juices. Then you can add them in with the stones as well, because we're going to remove all the pulp and that later anyway. And you can add in some red wine. I'm just putting in about half a bottle. Just give that all a mix. And then we just want to reduce down that liquid on a high heat. And reduce it by at least 2/3. So the sauce has been reducing now for about half an hour. And we just need to remove all the damson pulp and the pips. And we still got the spices in there as well, the star anise and clove. So we get a mixing bowl and a colander and some muslin or fine meshed cloth. Place that inside the colander. And just carefully pour the sauce into it. And just let all the liquid drip out. So just squeeze the rest of the liquid out, and then you'll just be left with the pips and the stuff you don't want left within the muslin. And then you're just left with a nice dark red liquid, and that would be fine to use just as it is for a sauce, but I prefer to make it into a nice syrup, so I'll reduce it down even further to a nice thick syrup. So just before service, you want to take your pears out the fridge so they can come back to room temperature. You get your sauce. And stand your pear in the middle. And there we go. One poached pear with damson and red wine sauce.